Hello everyone, and welcome back for the last run of this day. It's gonna be something really great that I really like. It's the Sense Trilogy. So, for people who don't know what Sense Trilogy is, it's basically End of Time, Warrior Within, and the two runs back to back in any percent. So I hope that you are ready. So this runner right now is called Vynneve. So Vynneve, you can introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Vynneve, and got GrizzzzBear here too.
What's up?
And yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna play the whole trilogy very fast, because this is standard, so we can use every glitch.
So don't hesitate whenever you are ready. We are ready in the Orga team.
All right, let's just start as soon as I hit new game, because I'm gonna be switching games. It doesn't really matter anyway. All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck and have fun.
I'm gonna
I'll let you look. Having
test
fun
my
is a different
controller
matter.
here too. Okay, it's working. Good. My controller likes to disconnect, and I need the controller for like 2 things in this one, so. Yeah, so this is Sands of Time. It's the first game. Normally, if I was actually like grinding this category, I would play the games in a different order. I do probably nowadays I do Warrior Within first because it has the RNG story gates, which we'll talk about that more when we play that game. But for a marathon, I thought I'd just do it in the actual release order. So we got Sands of Time first. And the first 4 minutes, which this will be like a theme throughout all the games. The first bit is just going to be relatively casual gameplay, except for what the hell? Prince. There you go. Okay. Apparently that ladder was a wall. Yeah, so the first bit's just going to be like casual gameplay with some tricks here and there. And then once we get the rewind time power, we can start doing something called zipping, which is why I decided to do a mouse cam, because the inputs for zipping involves a lot of scroll wheel shenanigans, so I thought that'd be cool to see. In terms of movement, you see me just like traveling across flat ground like this. The fastest way in this game is to chain rolls together. So I'll often do that. So like here, for example. And especially if you go through water or something, then you definitely want to roll. But if you get to max speed when you're walking, then it's the same. So yeah, kind of just depends. Like as long as you start with rolls and keep chaining them, it'll be faster. But depending on the terrain, sometimes I'll just walk normally. Another thing to note in this section that I always forget about, because it's not a thing in the other 2 games, but there's like when I jumped off the wall there's like a slow-mo thing that happens to like show you the cool ability that you used for the first time, but that's slow obviously. So that time I used the landscape camera to stop that immediately. Another way you can do it is by just ending the action. So those other times where I wall runned into the furniture, that got rid of the slow-mo. Alright, almost at the dagger. First we gotta do this little skip. You're supposed to go like down there and then like climb a bunch of ledges and stuff, but you can actually enter the exit like this. There we go. So this is where you're supposed to leave, but you can actually enter this way and then just jump back. And now I don't need to actually get the dagger. I just need to hit a trigger that's close to it like that. And now once I die or load the next area, the game will just give me the dagger. So this area loads, and now we have the dagger.
GG. Now the real run begins.
Yeah. So one caveat to that is that I don't have any sands in the dagger, so I need to kill some enemies. But then after that, we'll primarily use the sand clouds to fill up. But yeah, so zipping. The game has like a certain set memory for actions when it's rewinding. So if you spam a lot of actions, which I will do with the scroll wheel, so I have it binded to walk forward and backwards. So if I spam a lot like that, it'll eventually get overloaded, and then it'll start magnifying the actions. And because you're rewinding, you also don't have a collision, so you literally just go through everything. Just like that. That should be good. There's a low trigger at the edge of the fence there, but I think I hit it. So yeah, these sand clouds fill up all your sand. That's what I use primarily to get all my sand back from now on. And different animations go different distances, so you'll see like a variety of inputs, like a roll. Actually, let me get this checkpoint first. This zip can mess up because side rolls are kind of not random, but kind of random. So I need to zip like to the side to hit a load trigger, and then I need to come back because that's where you actually continue. All right, and you see like that was almost outside of the wall, so sometimes it can get you killed. Oh, nice. And yes, all three games have this glitch. So this is the theme of the entire run, basically.
20% kind of obsoletes a lot of the other glitches in the Sans Trilogy games. There's a lot of potential in terms of glitching throughout all the categories, but zipping is just so fast and so it's mapped consistently as well. So you're basically going from sand cloud to sand cloud in these categories, or is consistently gaining sand like in the other two games through other means, like through Maggot Man. He regains sand over time. The Red God Sword in T2T, you'll also gain sand back as well.
Yeah.
This game we're going to be abusing sand clouds, so it's mapped out very consistently, so we always have sand to actually do the zips. So you'll be seeing a lot of zips happening, but not a lot of other glitches, maybe the one or two. But ultimately zipping's just so fast that it's the most abused glitch in this 20% run.
Yeah, and one thing unique to this game with zipping is you might have noticed on that zip, I did the slow animation. So if you're not holding a direction, the rewind is slow. And I'm pretty sure that's just for like aesthetic purposes with the game. But with the frame rate, it actually causes the zips to go a lot further. So if you're slow rewinding, the distance is a lot bigger. It's like 10 times as far. But if you're fast rewinding like this, then it's shorter. So sometimes we need that extra distance to make it across certain areas. But we try to fast rewind whenever we can because obviously it's faster.
Yeah, and like Vin said, it's all tied into the frame rate, which is why across all three of the Sans Trilogy games, it's in the rules to lock the game to 60 frames per second to make not only zips consistent, but a lot of the other tricks consistent as well. As at higher frame rates, the game will do some rather janky stuff, and it can completely ruin zips as well. So having it locked to 60 makes everything consistent and everything easier to map out as well.
Yeah, like it's basically like if you have VSync off, it's just like the zips go too far to be ever useful. Another thing with this game that's unique to this game is that animation that I just did, the jump attack. The net gain and height for that is actually down, so that allowed me to travel downwards so I don't die from fall damage. And uncreatively, we call that a down zip.
You'll see a lot of zips where Vin will jump up in the air, and he's actually very high up the map. And I forget how it actually works, but basically, when you go so high in the air, because of some mechanic when zipping, you'll fall down what should kill you, but you still survive. So I forget how that works exactly, but you'll see that happen a couple of times as well.
Yeah, you have to time it. So like when I do a jump, the release timing on the rewind has to be during like the up part of the jump. If it's too late, then it'll kill you from the fall damage. So yeah, that one, the first time that zip killed me because the roll just went slightly too far, and that's basically just like slight fluctuations in the animations. Because if I like do an animation after the roll, I can kind of cancel it part way, and we call that animation canceling. Crap. I need a sand. So for that zip, I did an animation cancel properly, so it got me killed. This is okay. Here we go. Okay. Oh. Alright, it's another checkpoint here, so I just need to die again to load triggers. And similar to the down zip, when I do a jump dagger, it's because I want to go up a certain height. So you can also do it with the sword, but I just like the dagger better. It's just a preference, basically. But yeah, the longer you delay the attack in the air, the higher up you'll go. So you can kind of see what happens there with the down zip. You go down like a lot, and then you come up part way, but the net gain is still down for that. But if I were to delay it, then the net gain would be up. So there is a sand cloud there, but it's actually faster just to do a quick roll zip, and then I'm gonna get a different sand cloud over here. But first, we gotta get Farah to give us a game over to load triggers. If you ever see a random death, that's why. Load triggers. And that's done a lot in this game. You do it a couple times in the other game, but for this, or the other games, this game specifically does it a lot. No, it's not exclusive to SOT. Zipping is done in all 3 games.
There's a comment there as well. So what if the game lags while you're zipping? Typically, with VSync and with it being such an old game, it's very, very uncommon for the game to drop frames. It might drop to 59, if anything, for like half a second, if anything. But usually it's quite consistent at staying at 60. There is an uncontrollable glitch, though, that I will mention in terms of the frame rate, where it does drop down to 1 FPS for a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of time, which can mess up with your game, and it's so rare and inconsistent, it's not really that much of a concern, but it can ruin a run in theory as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, I misread that. Down zipping is exclusive to SOD, yes. you can still zip that animation in the other games, but the net gain and height is not down, so it doesn't work the same. Try to take this really safe. I'm going to do inputs back like this. As if I were to move forward there, I would hit a checkpoint. And then if I die anywhere here, I would be stuck in a game over loop, which is not fun. And that's basically all to do with Farah. Like, all this, like, routing I hear I'm doing, like, that roll I did at the start was to get away from Farah. Because otherwise, you would just get random game overs. And zipless runners for this game know all about that. See the load trigger get hit in that zip. And another thing you can do with the down zips, which I'm going to do on this zip, is switching your rewind speed. So I started slow there, and then I switched to fast. And so what that does is it makes like the movement is like down up, as you saw back in the warehouse. So if I let the zip be slow rewinded down, it'll go really far down, but then I fast rewind up, so it goes short up. So all in all, it makes the zip go a lot further down than it otherwise would if I just did it all slow. We'll see that more later when we need to go down a lot. So this is one of those things where, like, I need to time this release here. And when you're slow rewinding, it's pretty easy because it happens very slowly like that. So you can literally just react to the camera moving. But yeah, if I waited too long there, then you would die from fall damage. So you have to be a bit careful. That's not the setup I want. There we go. Like I said, there's a lot of deaths in this run. So low trigger like straight down here, so I need to like go down to hit that. And then we just roll across the bridge here. You can actually do this in one zip. You can actually get like all the way into this room in one zip. But surprisingly, it's actually slower than just doing these fast rewinded zips. And then we die again. So this one, I do a fast jump to get up to a certain height, and then we just go straight across, hitting like 3 load triggers in the process, which is pretty impressive. I think the most load triggers that one zip ever hits is 4. I don't know about you, Grizz, but don't you hate when you just randomly turn invisible?
it happens so very often. I'm kind of used to it by this point, but it is something that is a problem for a lot of people, so I can see why you don't like it so much.
Yeah, really sucks. No, don't get on that. Yeah, that happens just because of a clothing change. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a cutscene that we should have hit earlier where the prince kind of rips off part of his sleeve. We didn't hit that, and that specific place, for some random reason, is a check to see if the prince has ripped off his sleeve, or check the game model or something like that of the prince himself. Does the check, realizes it's not updated correctly, and the only thing it can really output, I believe, is just the prince's face and his weapons. So, yeah, we'll be dealing with Invisible Prince for a little while. Which actually makes zips a little bit harder because you can't see like your exact positioning in terms of like your feet or anything like that, which actually is quite important for zips. So it's a lot of practice from there to understand exactly what the prince is doing and exactly where he is.
Yeah, the zip can be tricky because this one is one of those speed switching zips, and I'm actually going to do it twice. So I did it once there, I go back to slow, and then I switch to fast again here. And so that like lets you get all the way down to the bottom of this cave or whatever you call it. So yeah, you need to go really far down. We do one more of that type of zip at the prison. So this is one of the kind of rare instances where we don't have a checkpoint. So we actually need to save. So I'll just save and then I'll just crash and reboot the game and to fix the load triggers that way. Let me try this zip this way. This is like a faster version of this zip that I came up with the other day, but it's kind of inconsistent. Let's see if I can get it to work. Oh, cool, it worked. Nice. Sometimes that it ends up too far down and then you just die. So you see I hit that load trigger during the zip when the save disappeared. And because of that, the cutscene that's at the start of this area is not there. So we can just roll past it without having to watch that. And then I can use my last sand to actually get out of the well area here. You might notice with my mouse on the camera, I often like have my finger like resting on the wheel a lot, and that's because I'm using a free scroll mouse wheel, so like it keeps scrolling if I just do that. So I always want to like make sure it's not scrolling so I don't randomly wall run or walk somewhere. In the other games we use the wall run button to spam inputs, so sometimes you just randomly wall run when you don't want to.
Yeah, like we said before, to trigger the zip to actually happen, you need to do a lot of inputs. I can't remember the exact amount to overload the rewind feature, but it's a lot of little inputs, and just binding that to walking forward and your block button or wall run button to mash out the inputs on the scroll wheel. It's incredibly easy to trigger a zip with that as well. So rather than like doing it on the controller, tapping forward or something like that, or even on a keyboard like Vin's playing on, just tapping W or S to move backward and forward. The scroll wheel makes it simple.
Yeah. Like the original way of zipping was like to count the inputs as you tap on the keyboard. And if you do it that way, you need 18 or something. But if you do like steps like I'm using here, it's like 22 or 24 or something like that. So this should hopefully hit a load trigger that's underground. Perfect. If my controller decides to not work, I might do one of those old school zips later in the run. But hopefully that doesn't happen, because I hate doing that. This is kind of a unique situation here. We need to go down really far, and conveniently the pole here can be used to fall down like that. And it's a lot quicker than using the down zips, which you could do, but yeah, it's just a lot slower, so we use that instead. And then I took enough damage throughout the run to die in one hit there, which is like routed in. You want to take at least 3 hits of fall damage. And this is like one of my most hated zips in the run, because it's, for me, it's pretty inconsistent. And I hit no load triggers. Cool.
Which brings up the point of zips are incredibly precise, especially the further distance you travel, the more precise the zip is in terms of exactly what angle you're taking, what distance you're going, just to hit every single load trigger all along the way, as well as ending up exactly where you need to be.
Not sure why it failed that time.
Wait, let's see where this corridor goes.
Come on, Prince. Dude, what the hell? If this fails again, it might do the old zip. Not sure that you saw. Like I hit 1 load trigger there.
Yeah.
This is the zip. This is one zip that hits 4 load triggers if you get it correctly. So I'm not sure why it keeps failing so much. Dude, really? Ugh.
Nothing. Oh no, we got first one again, but
Yeah, now I'm stuck in a place. Hopefully I don't soft lock.
it should just give you a regular game over after a certain time.
If there's like a ledge though, you can sometimes grab onto it and then you'll get stuck in like a loop. One more try. Let me try giving it a little left aim. Oh, okay. Can work with that. It's supposed to go in that room, but I can just do an extra zip. Alright, that took way too long.
Something to note about zips as well, I don't know if we've mentioned this yet, but whenever you're performing a zip, the distance that you will travel or the actions that will be amplified are technically done in reverse as well, since you're rewinding time. So routing a zip, you kind of have to route it backwards in a way in order to find exactly where you need to go and what actions you need to do to actually start, to get from start point to end point. As rewinding, it's doing it backwards.
Yeah, like the output and the actual zip will come out in reverse order. Alright, this is one point where I need controller. Let me just confirm that it's connected. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to use jumps on these ledges to go down, similar to the jump attack down zips. 1 too slow, and then 1 too fast. And then I can use the controller to do a first-person glitch, which just changes your angle on this invisible ledge that I created, so I can walk this direction to get over here.
I believe that's the only instance of first-person glitching in this category, correct?
One more.
One more.
After the
where
mirror,
it is every time.
after the mirror puzzle.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So this is the second time that I'm going to use double speed switch here to go really far down. And I went too far down. That can happen. The timing for this one's actually kind of precise. And you see that my costume changed again. So if I got that first try, we would have saw invisible prints again. But sadly, since I failed, the costume just gets switched. All right, there we go. I was a little late the first time.
I think we've already talked about the slow and fast rewinding.
Yeah, I mentioned
Yes,
that
but-
at the start, but
Yeah.
I could explain it again.
Yeah, just to go over it again. The difference between slow and fast rewinding is timed to the frame rate of the game. A fast rewind, you'll go a shorter distance in the zip. Slow rewind will make you go further. So changing the speeds will affect the distance and height of the zips and the actions in them.
Yeah, so for this zip, for example, I'm actually doing a half slow, half fast jump to get to the right height. And then I need to go forward a very specific distance to grab onto a ladder. So this zip is very precise, and it's the reason why it's like my most hated zip in the whole run, pretty much. Okay, second try is not too bad. I need to zip this door, and since I'm zipping it anyway, I might as well just go as far as I can. So I zip 2 rolls and grab this sand cloud.
And now we're up to the dreaded elevator fight. Are you prepared to swing your sword and defeat every single enemy on this thing?
Yes. Actually, no. So I'm going to do this instead. Yeah, so we can literally just zip up that entire elevator, saving something like 5 minutes. And then because of that, though, the cutscene that's on the top of the hourglass is deactivated. But I can hit the next load trigger, which is beside that gap that I just dropped next to. And then the next cutscene, the actual tomb cutscene that's down here, is loaded, so I can hopefully hit it. Aw, saw that coming.
It was close. Very close.
Yeah. The zip can be annoyingly precise. Should work there. Okay, that should be good. Okay, good. I was worried about that because if that didn't work, I probably would have had to load a backup save because there's a checkpoint back when I left the prison, and if you die there, Farah comes back, and then like you're stuck in a game over trap again. So would have had to load a backup save.
No matter which run you do in Sands of Times, this cutscene must be watched. There is no way to skip this cutscene that we are aware of. It has to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, we've tried a lot of stuff, including a frame perfect rewind as you hit it. As we thought maybe that would skip it, because we do something similar to skip cutscenes in Warrior Within that way. But in this game, all it does is delay the cutscene. So if you do that, it just plays when you stop rewinding. It doesn't do anything.
All that's happened is fine. I want an honorable goal. I want
Now for the real question. I'm going to try last fight skip, which we'll talk about that when we get closer to it. But should I try stair skip?
I think you should, just for the meme.
Yeah, let's give it one try. This is like a really stupid, inconsistent zip that saves 8 seconds. Assuming I can remember what the inputs are, I'll give it a try.
And to the chat, no, I'm not getting my base out. It's like 3 feet away from me. I can't be bothered to reach all the way that far.
What makes this zip so really stupid is that, like, for one, you need to like switch the rewind speed during a backflip, and you also need to kind of like free aim it because there's such a tight corridor. You'll see when I try to do the inputs, I need to like force the camera to move to the left. I think it's this. So when you go slow, that doesn't look right.
That's an odd angle to take.
Yeah, no, it didn't work. Try it one more time. Yeah, it was too far to the left. And I'm pretty sure the down zip is actually at the end too. Ah, I did it again. It's at the end. Yeah, you wait here and then do that, pretty sure. Alright, let's try that. No, didn't hit the load.
I think it was still slightly off angle.
Yeah, either
like,
that
when you started to
or the time. Like I need to switch rewind speeds when the down zip starts going down, so that could have been it too. Oh well, gave it a try. So yeah, that would have zipped me all the way down to the bottom of this stairwell, which like that's the easy part. The hard part is actually hitting the load triggers along the way. If you want to see truly crazy zips for this game, check out the segmented run. That does the stairwell zip and also others that are truly insane.
Yeah, a lot of these zips are difficult but still RTA viable, but there are a lot of more complicated zips in general that can be used but just not essentially marathon safe or even just RTA viable at this point and only like task possible in a way.
Yeah, or segmented strats. Especially because in this one, your rewind timer, which is like the circle in the upper left corner, gives you a lot of time to rewind. Like you have a ridiculous amount of time in this game to rewind. And I forgot to press the button. I want my reset camera though.
Oh yeah, we probably should have mentioned this area is actually loaded in the Mystic Puzzle, so we can just zip straight to it and bypass going through the actual doorways and into the cutscene.
Yeah, or more specifically, it's loaded like when I get to the bottom, so you need to get to the bottom and then you can zip up to it.
Yeah.
So I can skip the puzzle just like that, and then this is where we use first person glitch again, because there's a cutscene.
Yeah, small cutscene where it shows you Farah having stolen your sword, and kind of like an area idea of everything. So skip the cutscene by doing the first person glitch here, and then jump to the pole.
That looks
That
good. Why did
was
that?
weird.
Okay, I think, yeah, the angle got fixed a little bit when I tried to jump the first time. So I was going to say that should have worked. Alright, and now since I'm going to do a safe route, I need to get all 5 sands, so we're going to do some fighting here.
Imagine fighting in an any percent category.
I know, right? What?
Oh, there's a life upgrade here as well. You may as well get that while you're here.
What? Oh, my landscape went away. Again, I could cancel that slow-mo with the landscape view, but if you go into landscape during the slow-mo like that, then it breaks your reset camera button, and I would rather keep that. Okay, let's not forget to drink here in case I have to fight the enemies, because I probably will. So yeah, what I'm going to attempt to do is at the end of this, there's actually a trigger loaded really far out to end the fight. We don't know why it's so far. That's just like where it's placed. But yeah, since it's so far, it makes it incredibly inconsistent to zip to. Like, you need a pixel perfect aim and then get lucky, basically. So I'm going to aim there, then we're going to zip to a load over here. Good. So this is part of the safe route. Normally, in an actual run attempt, I would have just zipped straight up to the fight arena while hitting all the triggers during the zip. And then attempt... Oh, I forgot about that. And then attempt to hit that trigger that I mentioned. But we're going to do that little detour, and now I can go up to the arena.
You know, seeing that slow-mo just made me click on, we haven't really touched half the environment at all during this run, so...
Yeah, it's the first time you ever jump from a pole.
Yeah.
Or a column, pillar, whatever. Alright, so this is the last fight skip I'm trying to do now. If I can get the pixel perfect aim. That's not it. Oh, come on. Nope. It's really hard to move the camera small amounts. Oh my god, it's ridiculous. Come on. Keep skipping over the spot I need to land on. Okay, there. Alright, if I get extremely lucky, this will just teleport me to the Vizier. I did get this once in a marathon, so there's hope. No. Oh well, it's a long shot. So now after that, the game takes your dagger away because you're never actually supposed to have the dagger of time here. So I can't retry it if you're thinking that. So I have to just do the fight now.
Yeah, since we skipped a bunch of cutscenes and everything like that, we never got the dagger taken away from us in the tomb. So, realistically, normally you wouldn't be able to zip at all during this ascent up the tower.
It's worth a try. If I didn't have that safer route to use, I wouldn't give it a try, because if I failed, I have to do like the entire last part of the tower zipless style, which sucks.
But then you'd be able to try 50-50 skip.
No thanks.
But it's 100% consistent.
50% of the time. Alright, so this is why I drank water, in case I had to do this fight. So hopefully with full health I can get it first try.
So yeah, this sword that we've currently got now, the sword that we never picked up, this is just a one-shot weapon. Thankfully, because when we reload here, the game just gives us the weapon anyway, so we can actually take these down quite easily.
Can you attack the enemy? Oh my god.
Yeah, a huge issue with all the Sans games is the auto lock-on feature. You'll see every runner that plays one of these games complain about the auto lock-on. It's just something we have to deal with. Like, there are ways to manipulate it for sure, but ultimately we're kind of in the hands of the game at that point on what enemy we lock onto and how we lock onto it, especially for torpedo attacks, where you could physically see your sword go through an enemy and hit everything, but it just still will not take down the enemy at all.
That was actually a pretty good fight. Especially because that's something that I just did not practice. Probably should have. I was betting on last fight skip. Alright, so now we just loaded the game again to skip cutscene there. And now we just, there's a credits trigger out hanging in there, so I can just zip straight to that and finish this game.
That is the only credits trigger you can hit with a zip, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, nice. That didn't work. Of course. So yeah, in Warrior Within, we have to actually kill the final boss, and in Two Thrones, you can zip to the mental room, like trigger the mental room to load, which is after the final boss. But,
still not a credits trigger though, so yeah.
Yeah. What? How did that not hit the what? Okay, I need to die now anyway.
What?
I don't know why that missed.
Bit of a weird one, but okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that should have hit.
I should have just retried this. There. Okay. First game done.
Hey, GG. Now on to Warrior Within, the most RNG. Actually, while on the subject of credit triggers, the credit trigger for Warrior Within is actually physically there, but hitting it doesn't actually start the credits correctly.
Yeah, there is like a box there that says it's like the credits teleport, but it just doesn't do anything. So, yeah.
So, on to Warrior Within. If you were here for the Warrior Within earlier, the start of it is basically just going to be the exact same. Picking up a correct weapon, dealing with a few enemies, and moseying on through onto the Shadi fight. It'll be basically the same, but hopefully Vin will be able to actually show you how ledge storage works properly.
I mean, the thing you failed was essentially random. Wasn't your fault at all.
Yeah, like I said before, when I did it, there's a chance that it'll fail regardless of how perfect you are. It's inconsistent, but I think it's like a 70-30 chance to actually succeed. But still, it's decent enough to fail. Regardless, though, it'll be virtually the same run up until we get the first sand portal, which will then give us the power to control time, and then that'll be when zipping starts. As like in Sands of Time, we need to abuse this rewind feature.
Yeah. It's just this run is so slow. This run is actually like equally about everything else than it is about zipping, because the amount of time you spend doing movement and battling the final boss is pretty much the same as zipping. So interesting change of pace. But then Two Thrones will be mostly about zipping.
The games kind of go in order on how quickly you can get the sand powers, I believe. I think Sands of Time is the quickest to get the sand powers. Warrior Within slightly behind, but virtually roughly the same time period. T2T, however, it's a solid 9-10 minutes until you can actually get the sand powers. Or
Yeah.
Vin will probably do it in 8:30.
If you're fast, it's more like 8.5 minutes. But yeah.
Yeah.
Two Thrones is basically like 9 minutes. This game is like 6, 7. And then SOT is like 4 minutes. So I'm going to do the same thing that Grizz did earlier. Set up this bird by doing a random jump and a block roll. So that kind of just delays my movement so that the bird is hopefully right next to me when I get over here. There he is. Alright, that should be good. I saw him move towards the fence.
Yeah, that should be fine. I think there was a tiny bit of movement towards it.
Yeah. You can even get it if you don't see any movement, but like, yeah, you kind of get a feel for it.
Yeah.
As long as the automatic vault animation was started or initiated, then you have the storage.
Exactly. So long as you're not like over the like halfway through the climbing animation, it should be stored.
Yeah, so if you weren't here for the zipless run of this game, the storage is like anytime you go up a ledge like that one that I just went up, I jumped up that one to avoid using my storage. But the next one that I actually climb up normally, since I interrupted the animation before, the game will try to go back to where that ledge was initially, and we can use that to our advantage to hopefully get around the area here and beside the fountain to skip the cutscene. Oh, cool.
Nice. Bit too far back there, buddy.
I'm usually very imprecise with it because that doesn't happen, but cool. There we go. Right.
Excellent. And didn't even get the attack animation after that trick.
I got the exact same thing that happened to you.
Ah, that sucks, man.
When you get this camera angle, sometimes it'll work, but usually it doesn't. So as soon as that happened, I was like, no. Probably due for that. Like, I think that's like the first time that I actually didn't get that skip in a marathon. Like, it always worked before.
No, thankfully with ledge storage, like like zipping, it exists across all three of the Sans games, and actually does have a use in at least one category across all the Sans games as well. So it's a really really cool glitch. So no doubt there'll be another method of actually sending that off as well and showing it off at some point during the marathon.
Yeah, this is the only standard category that uses it, because it's used, or actually that's not true. You could use it in Two Thrones at the start, but that use of it is very inconsistent, so I'm not gonna try it. But yeah, this is the only standard category that you can use it, and like you kind of need to use it if you want a good time.
Yeah, because if we were to use ledge storage, we'd end up virtually where Vin is now, and we wouldn't have to watch that cutscene at all, and we could just mosey on through and carry on as normal.
Yeah, you end up like right before this cutscene that I just hit, and then you just backtrack for a load and then continue on.
Yeah, and that load is very close as well. It's literally just where that gap and the hole in the floor is. It's very, very close, so it's only like a second or two of backtracking as well.
Good. So that's like a relatively new skip there. That's one thing that Grizz didn't do. So if you saw that run from earlier, it's something a bit different.
Yeah, it's relatively new, that strat. I don't think it's like months new, but I think this year off the top of my head, and I just haven't had a chance to actually learn it.
That's pretty cool. And it avoids doing like that whole section there with the enemies, which is the main reason why I love it.
Yeah, I really need to learn that strat.
Surprisingly easy once you get it down.
Right, so, like an SOT, this will be where the real Warrior Within standard run begins, as we now have access to zipping.
Yeah, first I'm going to apparently wall run on the fountain and then drink from it.
Gotta get those steps in.
Yeah, just get a checkpoint there. This game is really dumb with checkpoints, unlike the other two games. It won't give you a checkpoint from the fountains unless you actually drink from it. So I'm going to zip straight and then sideways over to here. And then drink here again, because again you need to drink to get a checkpoint. And then it is faster to rewind it instead of waiting for the save prompt. And then Death Abuse.
And that Death Abuse is to reload the area, as like in the zipless run as well. We are now 2 and a bit hours into the main game.
Uh-oh.
Did we just get a crash?
I think it's crashing. Game?
Do you have any safety saves for that
I do,
fountain?
yeah. I need to
think we might need to pull one
Yeah,
out.
it's crashing. I need to actually like get out of the game first. Can you seriously?
Warrior Within just isn't being friendly to anyone today, apparently.
No. Now it will launch. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I do have some saves. Yeah, this one. So this is like the safety checkpoint that I took, basically. So now I do have the stick, so let's just pretend that I got storage.
Yeah.
Let's fix my sand here so it's accurate. I'm supposed to only have 3 here, so I'll just waste 1 there. I think I might have not drank enough, and so I didn't get the checkpoint, and then for some reason that crashed. But yeah, that was weird. I've never seen it crash there. At least not like that. Okay, there we go.
Oh well. So, back to where we were. So yeah, we're now 2 and a bit hours into the game.
What?
Hell?
It just crashed again. What the fuck?
What is going on, my dude?
Just crashed in the middle of me throwing my weapon. What is this game?
Is it the killer doing something?
I think so. I mean, it's never hasn't crashed here before, so.
Warrior Within, why
All
do you
right,
do
let's
this?
try it again, I guess.
Hey, at least you can practice for this first zip.
Yeah. I feel like I have enough practice on this zip. This is a pretty difficult zip because you notice I have to I'm moving diagonally to the left there. That's the only distance that works to get over here. Let's try the rewind again. Using the sand there doesn't matter because it's after the checkpoint, so I'll still have 2 after. And maybe I'll just wait a bit.
I don't know.
Crash game.
Okay.
Dude, what is going on? Okay, let me close everything that I have open here. I feel like something is messing with it. Oh wait, the killer is frozen. Maybe it is the killer.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
I need to close this. Okay.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Seems fun, like Warrior Within, right?
Yeah. All right, I think it'll be okay now. I'm thinking it was the killer there because it was frozen when I tried to select it.
Maybe the killer and also the tool for story gate. I don't know if it's the same thing.
The she thing, yeah, that seems fine. So I think it was that. Maybe I'll.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate to save at the next fountain.
Yeah, I just thought of that. Maybe I'll save here.
Yeah.
Save and just completely restart the game again just to be on the safe side.
I never thought it was gonna happen a second time.
Or a third or a fourth.
Yeah.
I mean, just Warrior Within things, honestly.
Exactly. This game apparently just hates everyone today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird though because I did test the whole run with this the cheat that I'm using for the marathon, so it'd be weird if it was that.
Yeah, but you never know how it can behave sometimes.
Okay, seems okay now.
Okay, great. So now we are back on track.
Hopefully.
Just to see some more zipping, so enjoy people. And I hope that you enjoy the Warrior Within experience.
So what I did there is I did a zip, but I also ended it with throwing my weapon, which what that does is allows you to do what's called a drop glitch, because if you're throwing your weapon, the game considers you to be on the ground. So even if I'm in the air falling, it's still pretending as if I'm on the ground, so I don't die from fall damage. I'm gonna zip over here and then use this fountain to fix my story gates. So right now I have the story gate 2, but I'm going to save and I don't have the killer anymore, so I need to close the game myself.
You could just hang off the ledge and die 3 times.
Yeah, it takes forever though. It's faster still just to manually close it.
True. So for those of you who don't know what we mean by when we're referencing the killer, there's a program that's been made to basically make it fair between all runs as well. This killer will basically time out and close the game automatically, so that alt tabbing out and then manually closing the game, which is affected by obviously PC power. So that tool makes it fair among all runs as well. So that's what we're referring to when we mention the killer. Which we're very thankful to have, by the way.
Yeah, so since you're supposed to be the sand wraith at this point in the game, saving and reloading like that turns you into it. And now we have to get this sword because we do need to kill the final boss, which is, spoiler alert, kindly new.
So yeah, typically, like when you're playing like a normal game or whatever, and you're going through the runs, you typically wouldn't upgrade your weapons. In Warrior Within, we kind of have to, as the secondary damage is affected by the primary weapon's stats, I believe.
Yeah.
Like the secondary weapon that he's holding now, the Cursed Axe, that has a 1.5 times multiplier, I believe, on the damage. With the Scorpion Sword. Wait, is that Scorpion Sword or Lion Sword? I forget. Whatever sword
Scorpion,
it is.
Scorpion.
Scorpion, yeah. Whereas, like in my run, I picked up the Light Sword. That will have a 2.5 times multiplier. So, ultimately, you need to upgrade the weapon to upgrade the base damage of the secondary that we'll be using. If we were to use the stick, the damage output would just be nothing, essentially. And if we use the starting sword as well, it would be virtually nothing as well. So that's why we upgraded the Scorpion Sword at this point.
So big zip there. Okay, good. I'm glad I didn't die there because that sends you really far back. Alright, so this is the point where in an actual run, this would be an RNG element. And if it doesn't work, the run is just completely over. There's no way to save it. But since the marathon, I have a cheat here. So if it does fail, then the cheat will activate and it'll give me the proper story gate anyway. So I go over here, and then this is the RNG part. So we need to do a jump up here to set the story gate. And cool, the cheat and the game failed. So give me a second. I need to fix this myself because nothing is working today with this game.
Yeah, so it's typically RNG 63 is what the skip is called, and it's because you can only sometimes hit story gate 63 by performing that zip. Ultimately, the program has been...
Oh, never mind. It's good. It's good. Okay. It was actually my live split checker that's wrong. So my live split checker is saying 59 still, but it is 63, so it's fine. That's weird. Okay, let's go.
Warrior Within. Thank you. So yeah, just for marathon safety and to show off what the route would look like in a like RTA world record attempt run, or at least route-wise. Yeah, that program exists for our benefit there, just to show it off essentially. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to show off that route in marathons at all.
Yeah, so I don't actually know if that worked legitimately or if the cheat kicked in because my tracker to view the story gate is not working. So, yeah. But either way, we're on our way to the end. Do a safety fall there, which I don't think I ever mentioned because we don't use it very much in this game, but that animation there with the, we call it safety fall because it allows you to survive from higher falls. So I used it there to not die from fall damage.
Yeah, so the way the fall damage works in this game is ultimately there's like a timer that runs, so for the length of time that you're falling, eventually that timer would hit 0 and you would just ultimately die of fall damage. Safety falling, you start that timer slightly lower in the falling animation, so that just gives us just enough time to bypass some instant deaths on falls.
This is kind of a cool new route here. We're actually going to use, there's two ways to enter the room here. There's a secret passage over there, and then there's like the main gate entrance. And if we zip through the secret passage here, it's actually a bit faster. So I zip over here, use the secret passage load trigger to load the area, and then I can go up here and then zip directly to the portal. It's a really cool strat. And ideally I get I release my rewind so the cutscene takes me right away, but I jumped a bit too high there. I need to drink here. That zip is barely worth doing. Saves like a second. Alright, now Kylina fight. And I'm bad at this fight, so you can skip both cutscenes, but I'm only going to try to skip one, because I can never skip the second one. I don't understand it. But yeah, we're going to try to skip one at least. So do a standstill, which is just a kick like that. That kind of makes her freeze. Alright, let's skip the cutscene there. And now I'm just trying to do as much damage as possible before the next cutscene takes over. Just burning all my health. And then if everything works out, I can attack her and then kill her before she does any tornadoes. Please don't. Oh my god. That happened last time I did this too. It's ridiculous.
Oh, come on.
She's literally 1 HP left. This game really doesn't like me this run. Oh shit.
It hasn't liked anyone today, apparently. What is with Warrior Within?
Tornado spawned like on my path. I feel like maybe it's the slow-mo. Maybe I shouldn't be activating slow-mo there. But I used to always do that and it was fine. I don't know. Should be dead in 1 axe hit here.
Unless she immediately goes up for a tornado again.
That's why I use slow-mo. Alright, second game done.
Hey, GG.
Close this. Trying to exit the game.
Third and final game, T2T. The longest of the standard categories.
But the
Standard
best.
80% categories.
Objectively the
But
best.
I'm not going to disagree since it's your run.
No, this is my personal favorite, but obviously it depends. This has the longest pre-dagger section.
Yeah.
But it's also just the longest run in general. So we'll do a lot of zipping to get through it as fast as possible. And this game also has it doesn't have the down zips like Sands of Time does. So there's no animation that zips downwards, at least no like standard animation. But we do have drop glitching and we use that a lot in this run. We use it like a couple times in Warrior Within, but in this run you use it a ton. So we're gonna we'll get a secondary and then we're constantly going to be throwing it away and zipping to go down without dying.
Another thing to mention as well, we didn't really cover this in Warrior Within, but we did remove the cuts, like the actual CGI cutscenes or whatever they're called, in order to make it consistent between all the versions of the game. So all the regional differences have slightly different death animations and like game over screens, so to make it consistent, all CGI cutscenes are being removed. So that was why we didn't see the opening cutscene there either, like in Warrior Within. Just so that everyone's aware on that one, because we haven't mentioned that yet this run.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, but I forgot, because in SOT we don't remove them because you can actually skip cutscenes in that one. So I didn't think of it there. But then, yeah, in Warrior Within in this one, we just remove them for the exact reasons Grizz just said. So a little skip here. There we go. That's called Fish Cutter Skip. Just skips getting the first weapon, which is not the Dagger of Time. I think my mouse is not connected. Here we go. Okay.
So yeah, this game is very similar to Warrior Within in terms of how the movement mechanics work and everything like that, and how the game, like the fighting gameplay happens. Difference is the dagger, or in this case, what we should have at the minute, the fish cutter, will be our primary weapon, and we'll pick up secondary weapons along the way. We won't be changing our primary weapon other than for when we get the dagger at time. The main difference between this game and Warrior Within, though, is that auto lock-on feature that's present in Warrior Within, that doesn't exist here. So, yeah, we will just be
It does, but it's like much weaker.
Yeah, it's like you have to be either in combat or attacking an enemy for the auto lock to trigger, or blocking in a certain way. But ultimately, so long as we're not like interacting with an enemy, we won't be locking on in a way. So
Yeah.
we'll be usually just rolling past or wall running past enemies because we can in this game, unlike in Warrior Within, where most of the time we're side rolling to avoid combat.
All my visions of the future did I suspect a homecoming such as this. War.
For the first bit, it's really comfortable because I don't have any weapon, so there is legitimately no auto aim stuff because I don't have a weapon. But when I get one, then it'll start, but it's much weaker than Warrior Within, so it's still a lot more comfortable.
And even without having a weapon, we can still do certain animations as if we did have a weapon. Like you saw Vin do a torpedo off the wall there, even without a dagger or anything like that. That's because during some animations you can actually trigger the animation to happen, regardless of having a weapon or no, and safety falling still works as well. So we'll be abusing that mechanic quite a lot.
That's very good. So without that, it would lose time from that. But it does do, it's funny because it does do 0 damage. So that torpedo I did was just to stun, so the archer doesn't hit me. Thank you. I see a lot of first-person cancels in this segment too. I used that a couple times in Warrior Within, but it's just cancels like when you fall from a high enough height, you get a stagger animation, and happens in Sands of Time as well. But if you go into first person, then you can actually cancel out of it faster.
Yeah, rather than going through the entire stagger animation or roll animation, whatever you're doing, entering first-person camera during, like, at the start of that animation will basically set the prince back into standing position, essentially, so we can just carry on as normal quicker without having to deal with any, like, slow animations.
Yeah. There is an even, like, faster version of it if you get it to happen from, like, the absolute maximum height that you can survive from. And what that does is, like, it cancels it without actually even going into first person. It's weird to even see. So that skips even the frames that you're wasting from going into first person. But that's hard to really plan. Sometimes it just happens. Oh, nice. So that time I tried to cancel there, but I pressed it too late. Okay, good. Tricky jump there to save 9 seconds.
A lot of Prince of Persia's movement is where a lot of the time is saved. Of course, all the zips and glitches and stuff like that save the majority of the time, but a lot of the minor time saves come in your general movement, which is why you'll see Vin do a lot of specific things in the movement as well, just to gain like 9 seconds on that jump or 3 seconds in a certain manner later by
Like that cheeky wall run death I just did.
yeah. Or even just fall damage cancelling as well, or what you would call it, secondary attack, safety falling onto ledges and fences. It's slightly faster by minute detail, but in a category in like any percent standard where it's so fast in general, all those minor saves add up across the entire course of the run. So if it's there, it should be done in a way. Like on such a glitch-heavy game, a lot of your time save comes to general movement and general practice anyway, which is typical speedrunning in a way, but is, with how much movement mechanics there are in Prince of Persia, a lot of the time saved comes from the early segments of the game, where it's optimizing every little tiny movement in order to get that dagger and the time powers as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and where there is like less movement compared to like glitchless type run, that you get really good at the movement that you do. Because it's just like movement, zip, so you get really good at the little movement that you do. And this starting section is just like a beast in and of itself. This has its own like world record tracking.
One of the hardest segments to do because you have no time powers. You can't just quickly rewind any errors that you make, and it's got a lot of movement mechanics and a lot of small optimizations that really shave down the time to that 8.5 minutes rather than the casual 9.5 minutes. Like I can
Casually be more, probably like 12 minutes.
Probably, yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, yeah.
So I'm just using jumps and wall runs to time these traps perfectly. And then this is a secondary that I'll grab for zips and drop glitches later.
Yeah, so another thing that we haven't really mentioned, just as optimization while we're talking about the movement, you can actually roll over a weapon and pick it up at the same time, which skips a whole like the prince flicking it up into his hand animation, so it saves like minor seconds, like not even a full second. But you'll see that happen a lot over the course of this run as we're dropping weapons consistently and picking up weapons consistently as well.
Yeah, I forget the actual like amount that it saves, but yeah, it's like maybe a second, but probably a little less. Yeah. Killed that first archer for safety. Second archer is usually no problem. Alright, I don't know what time that actually was, but it felt like a pretty good dagger actually.
Let me have a... Oh, wait, I've got no idea. I was
Yeah,
just going to have a
it
look.
says
There,
120.
still like... Yeah, damn. I should have made a note of when we actually started this run so I could tell you.
No problem. Yeah, it does look cool for sure. The roll grabs are stylish. You can also do it with like backflipping or block rolling or whatever.
Wherever you are.
Alright, so now we have the rewind time ability with 3 sand. So we start zipping. And for the first zip of the run, this zip is actually pretty difficult. Alright, got it. So I drop glitch down there because I need to get near that fountain while being alive to get the checkpoint, and then I just use the death plane that is conveniently there to die right away.
Similarly to Warrior Within, fountains are checkpoints. You just don't have to drink from them. Like, so long as you're near them, you'll get a checkpoint. And T2T also has other versions of checkpoints in them as well, where you just hit a trigger, get a checkpoint. Yeah, we'll be abusing a lot of deaths to reset areas again in this run.
This one actually doesn't do it a whole lot, but a couple times, yeah. SOT does it a ton. Ooh, hope that hit the load. Okay, we're good. So in terms of actually spamming inputs in this game, unlike Sands of Time, we use spamming blocking instead of steps as the primary method to overload the rewind timer. Let me just do this zip before I continue. Alright, good. Yeah, so we spam block because it's just more convenient because it doesn't move you anywhere. But there's actually another layer to that this game can use. You can technically do it in Warrior Within as well, but you move while it happens, so it's not as useful. But you can do what I call hyper blocking, which is holding the opposite direction, like holding, or a direction, it doesn't matter which direction. You hold some direction as you're spamming block, which essentially allows you to spam alternating block and a movement direction back and forth. So as a result, that allows you to spam inputs twice as fast. So I don't use it everywhere because you can actually spam too many inputs, which messes up your inputs. So I might do that at some point, and I'll point it out. It just, like, if you spam too many, you just don't go anywhere. The zip completely breaks. But later on, when I have the sword that regenerates my sand, I can use that to spam inputs basically twice as fast. Get sand here. And this is actually a new checkpoint abuse that we use here. I only started doing this like a couple days ago. So I can get a checkpoint here, and then I jumped just so that I can zip it and then die faster. Okay, ideally it lands on the ground, but oh well. Now I got that checkpoint, so I can continue from here.
Another thing to note as well, we'll be skipping a lot of the Dark Prince sections, as Dark Prince doesn't have any regenerative sound, like in Warrior Within with the Dark Wraith. So, and because when you turn into Dark Prince, you lose your secondary weapon as well, which is bad for drop glitching, as we can't use the chain to do that, as well as when we do get the sword that regenerates sands, we want to keep that on hold of that as long as possible as well. So we'll be skipping a lot of Dark Prince sections.
And by a lot, we mean every single one.
I thought there was one that we had to hit, but I wasn't sure.
Not anymore.
No.
There's, we skip every single one.
Nice.
Yeah. So as long as I don't hit one accidentally, we'll have this cloth costume throughout the whole run.
Nice. Another mechanic to mention as well is whenever we get like pots or anything like that to smash, if we have 1 or 0 sands, it will be a guaranteed drop. So when we don't have the red god sword, which is what Vin's just picked up there from that fight, this is a sword that will generate sands. We'll be abusing that pot mechanic, which is why beforehand when Vin was going to get more sand, he wasted the sand just to get that guaranteed sand drop and get 2 from those broken baskets of pot.
That zip can be really tricky. Happy that I got it. And I need to zip backwards here to fix a load trigger, and then I can start the chariot.
If I crash, it is the end for both of us.
So yeah, you might have noticed that I like killed the enemies, and then just like didn't pick up the gate. That's because it's just faster. Like we don't need a 4th sand. I could have got it for safety, but like it's not really, doesn't even really help much. So yeah, I just need the sword to regenerate the 3 sand that I have.
So Vince, Matt's asking, what mouse wheel keybinds do you use for this game, just to give people an idea on how you're actually doing these zips?
Let me try this. Let me do this rewind trick first.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Scroll forward is move forward, and then scroll backwards is blocking. That's what I use. Some people do it differently, but I think some people use like scroll forward for blocking, and then backwards is move backwards, which does have its advantages, but I like having the forward still be there, because there's some zips where I just need to do like a roll, so I don't even need to take out my weapons, and when I do those, I like to just scroll forward like that.
We made it. Hold yours. Come on.
I did not know the prince doesn't actually sit on the horse when you do that.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've noticed that.
That rewind trick, since I got it in 2 sand, which is the minimum, because that was a rewind trick. I didn't actually explain that, but if you rewind minimum twice to the same frame, you can like access earlier states in the memory. So what it allows you to do there is to go through the wall. But as a result, it breaks the chariot, which is why I like to do it in marathons. So it did actually save a second since I did it in 2 sand. But yeah, it's great just because of the cutscene.
I'm not sure if there will be another instance of rewind tricking in the any percent standard, because we don't really have to use a lot of other glitches in this category, do we?
I'll try and do it in the second chariot again for the same reason. But there's no actual like routed rewind trick, no.
Which is a shame, really, because zipping, while it is very fast and very mapped out and routed to the point where it's quite consistent, end of the day, it does take away a lot of the glitches, which is why a zipless category does exist, so that we can still run the game.
So there I just tried to use, sorry to cut you off, there I just tried to use hyper blocking, but I did a little bit less than I meant to, so I ended up understepping, but it was luckily still enough to make it over.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, just going back to the categories for a second, because zipping is so fast and I want to say a little bit cheating in a way.
Well, it's not. Don't bring that in here. Literally not cheating.
You know what I mean, though. It takes away a lot of the glitchful beauty of these games, which is why the other categories exist.
It's just such a powerful glitch that like you don't need anything else. So yeah, that's one reason why we have other categories like zipless and no major glitches. Yeah,
and the reason why we don't have a true glitchless category in this game or any of the Sans games is because running through a Prince of Persia game and not encountering a glitch is near impossible. So
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, there's no true glitchless in these games, unfortunately. But no major glitches is as close to the intended game mechanics as you can get.
So what I just did there, that is what it looks like when you overstep. So I did too many inputs and that broke the rewind. There's like a second level of breaking the rewind and it just doesn't go anywhere and it messes up the zip completely. So that's the danger of using the hyper blocks. You can save like basically a second on every zip that you do when you use them, but it's very easy to overstep.
Quick thing to mention as well, because I don't think we've actually mentioned this yet. When we're actually going into the drop glitch, if you know these games, we're trying to throw the weapon away, but by cancelling that before we've hit the ground, we actually save the sword because we go straight into the full animation rather than throwing the weapon. So that's how we're able to keep the red guard sword through all these drop glitches.
Yeah, it's actually something different compared to Warrior Within. Even if you let go of the sword in the air for Warrior Within, you still lose it. Oh, yeah, that happens. But yeah, in this game you keep it, which is very handy. So I was trying to time this so that I go underground like that, because there's a load trigger that I need to hit down here. So you see that hallway disappeared. And now I can zip across. Oops. So that's just the setup to get in the right spot here. Now, once I get this pretty precise aim, and for zips that have more than like 2 inputs, oh wow, that missed the load. That's hasn't happened in a while. For zips that have more than like 2 or 3 inputs, using the hyper blocks is even more dangerous because like you can overstep even like partway through the zip. So it's just like I basically only do it on zips that have like 2 inputs or 1. There we go. Another rare double backflip throw weapon here. Oh, nice. Thought I would survive that. One thing about drop glitches is that if you zip them, you saw like the camera move up there, so I did actually zip some of the drop glitch there, but they don't go anywhere. Because as far as the game's concerned, you're just on the ground, not moving anywhere, so it doesn't zip anywhere.
Farah and I went through so much together. Though she may not remember, I can never forget.
The zip is pretty precise to hit the load, so I'm trying to... Oh yeah, I got it, cool.
So just to give everyone an idea of how fast zipping is, I've brought up the SRC page for the Trilogy runs. So in SOT, the first game Vin ran, standard would be half an hour faster than the zipless category. Warrior Within, pretty similar in terms of the times, to be fair. 12 minutes to 18 minutes from standard to zipless, and Two Thrones 51 minutes to an hour 21 from the two fastest categories there. So zipping actually saves a lot of time over the course of the runs there. Half an hour on two of the categories, and since Warrior Within's so fast anyway, it's 5 minutes, but that's still such a fast, still massive compared to the zipless categories, where it's, even if it is such a short run, 5 minutes in what is essentially a 20-minute run is huge.
Yeah, Warrior Within's kind of unique because it's semi-open world, so it has that big skip with the story gates that skips like 2 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
But SOT and this one are linear, so the time save is just pure speed from the zipping. Alright, I saw the floor disappear there, so we're good on load triggers. And this load trigger that I'm going to hit during this zip, once I get the aim here, would be difficult to manage, but luckily there's this like out of bounds floor you can just hang around on, so we can just land up here and then roll over to the back in bounds over here. It's very convenient. And here I'm just throwing my weapon for the distance, because when you throw your weapon, it does move you backwards. But most times, I don't know why that didn't work. Most of the time, okay. Most of the time, I'm using the throw weapon to go back and then droplet down without dying. But sometimes, if I just like throw it right quick like that, it's just for the distance that it actually pushes you back.
Different version of a rewind trick that's just happened there. By slashing your dagger and then rewinding back half through that animation, it will then trigger the wall run animation to start again, which is how Vin got extra distance on that there. Works similarly.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a rewind trick, but it's not, because it only uses one sand. Oh, I overstepped again. Bad at hyper blocking today. Warrior Within can do that wall run extension as well. There's just no point in the run where we actually make use of it.
It's not really any walls large enough to actually warrant doing it on anyway. that I'm aware of. There might be something that could be potentially found, but ultimately with zipping, it's going to be just twice as quick to do the zip at that point.
Yeah, I mean, like, there is walls you can do it on, but it's just like, yeah, it just doesn't flow. There's nowhere where it's actually speeds up anything, so. Of course. The zip is like, it's a really cool zip, but it's also dumb because it's hard to land inbounds. But luckily there's a checkpoint right here, so I just let myself die. So what's supposed to happen is I hit a load trigger, which is what the jump is for, and then land inbounds. And I'm still landing out of bounds. What the hell? I know it's partly because of the side roll, but it should be. Okay,
I'm gonna say, you animation canceling that side roll a little bit?
Usually you don't need to, but I tried to there. And okay, that can work. So I'm supposed to just land down here. But it works. So I need to hit the load trigger that's up there. So that allows me to just line up like so. And then zip straight across here. Which hits, you can see it hits 2 more load triggers like that.
I hope Farah is all right.
You are spending.
This area is where you would do something called cutscene drop if you were playing the no major glitches category, which is a 2-frame trick. But it's actually faster just to come down here and then zip up to hit the load trigger, which is a lot better because I don't have to worry about doing that trick. And it's also just faster, so best of both worlds. Okay. That kick on the end of the backflip adds a considerable amount of distance. It basically makes it a little bit bigger than a roll zip.
She had reached the prince. He feared for her safety.
There, actually successfully used hyperblocks there.
At least now he
It's very subtle, but once you run this game a lot, you can tell the difference.
Fine. Waste your valuable time rescuing the princess. I can only imagine what the
Between how long it took me to input all that spamming and how long it takes with the hyperblocking.
Expanding his army, torturing innocent citizens, deciding what kingdom to conquer next. What he should be doing is dying.
I have not forgotten my mission.
Could have fooled me. Traipsing.
There's a low trigger on this back wall here, so this zip is lined up so that it ideally hits that,
Fooled me.
which I think it did.
Traipsing through a brothel while your city
Yeah,
falls apart.
should be good.
That's not what I call heroic.
I am here for Farah.
If you miss it, there is a backup where you can just
You're here for you. She made you feel
death abuse
guilty
at the
and you hope
fountain.
to prove her wrong. The reasons for being here are hardly selfless.
You do not know.
That's the second boss there. We're just gonna roll zip right past her.
You do not know my motives, and you do
Yeah,
not
we never mentioned the face boss Clumper at all. We just kind of zipped on by him without even mentioning him.
Yeah, we don't even see him because we enter the arena
Return to Saint Pharaoh
without
and send
the
her
boss there.
while you run after this one. My hero.
You know as well as I do that the brothel is no longer dangerous. But if
It's another unique zip because we zip some stepping inputs, which can be awkward, but it's not too bad.
I do that the brothel is no longer dangerous.
Actually, that's just made me think that across the entire trilogy of runs, we only really fight one boss, which is Kylina and Warrior Within. because we hit the dream.
That's not gonna work.
Dream
Just realized.
trigger in this game. Santa time, we zip past the Vizier into the credits trigger. So out
Yeah.
of all 3 Sans games, and what's that, 5, 6 bosses or something like that, we fight 1.
Yeah. You do, unless you do last fight skip, you normally do have to fight the enemies at the end of Santa time, which is not a boss, but kind of is.
You got a point as well, yeah. May as well be a boss.
Yeah.
It's a better final boss than Vizier. Please, SOT remake, fix that final boss. If the game ever comes out.
Relatively new zip here, which is really cool. For the longest time, we never did a zip here. But if I break those, and then we can actually do another double backflip with jumps here. And you should see that door disappear once I hit the load. And that actually lands us right in this hallway after the next gate. So I call that gate 5 skip. This zip is very difficult because you need like the absolute max delay when I do the attack, and I got it first try. Nice. Now I can line up on this platform and then zip over to the golem. Or the pony. Oh, that's not cool. Okay, cool. I did a rewind trick there to fix it. That's very dangerous with 3 sand, but I tried to go for it and it worked out. That's basically like the main thing that rewind tricks are used in this category for, is just like for backup. If you mess up a zip, usually from fall damage like that, I can try and use a rewind trick to save it so I don't need to rewind back and do it again, which takes a lot longer. Yeah, I guess this is a boss.
You don't really fight him, you slap him enough to the point where you kind of ride him like a horse.
But
so
that is the fight. That's what you're supposed to do. That is the fight.
You more tickle him into submission. I'll accept that.
He dies here.
Yeah, but he kills himself. So
No, we're controlling him. We stabbed him in his like brain stem to control him, and then we kill him at the end.
all right. We killed 2 bosses out of the 7.
Yeah, that.
But he doesn't have a boss bar. He doesn't have a boss health bar.
It's true. But yeah, that ride is really stupid because if you don't hit the sides of the wall, usually I try and do it to show it, but I just forgot about it. But if you don't hit the sides at some point, then eventually the movement will start slowing down because you start going too fast, which is really dumb. So, at Ubisoft. So I do that big rewind so that there's no enemies down here, so that I'm free to do this zip, which is another throwing my weapon there just for the distance. There's actually no downwards movement that I need to survive. Oh, that sucks. Really? Can I get back? There's a checkpoint. Yeah, it's not gonna let me get back. All right.
Yeah, that sucks a bit.
Yeah, it sends me all the way back here. Probably won't try it again. That's definitely like a high risk zip. Yeah, let's not go for it again. Let's just do the old route here, which is actually to stay in stealth so that this enemy doesn't bother you. Then I can just do a zip over to that platform. Wait, I think I need to break this. I kind of forget this aim, but I'll just fix the loads once I get over there. I think it's about here. Oh, that's not good. I can't fix that load. Let me try that. I haven't done this zip in forever, so I actually totally forget what the aim is. Okay, yeah, and then I just need to fix this load. Any stealth specific animations you can zip? I mean, you could zip like doing a stealth kill, but can't imagine it would ever be useful.
I must hurry and find a way inside.
Have fun with that.
Yeah, that little out of bounds section lines up perfectly with the fountains. Pretty nice. Now we're coming up on the second chariot, which we got to do the chariot, but we don't need to do the puzzle that's before it. So we're gonna zip into the puzzle area, and I only hit one of the loads, but that's fine. There's 2 loads. You can skip the second one. Ideally, you hit both, but it'll still load the chariot. Thankfully, yeah, it's fine there. If I hit both loads, it would have sent me to the chariot immediately instead of having to wait. But either way, it's whatever. I'll try and do a rewind trick here again to break the chariot. The best spot to do it is right before a cutscene, so I wait till then. Not only is it like easier to rewind trick it there, because you just need to get past the little corner to hit the cutscene, but it creates a funny animation right after. Right here. I'm not gonna risk using the third sand. Oh well. If I got that, it would like break the chariot right after the cutscene. It's pretty funny, but oh well.
Oh yeah, I forgot we're coming up with another boss fight. How did they forget this boss fight?
Yeah, but you don't actually kill them. We start the boss fight, but then we're just gonna zip out of the arena. And this is one spot where hyperblocking is actually super useful, because getting all the inputs before the bosses attack you again is actually really difficult. But with twice the speed of mashing, you can do it pretty easily.
Welcome to Dark Souls
Start this
PvP.
fight. Yeah.
I was not expecting that.
Start this fight, and then I'm gonna wait for my rewind timer because I can't do a zip unless I have a rewind timer, obviously. Then I'm actually gonna get hit by the axe guy and zip that. Which is like the most consistent thing to get you out of the arena, just like so. So now I'm like under the arena here. This is a horrible camera. I think that's a good spot though. All right. Yeah, that zip is really unique. We used to try and like do the parry animation that we call an awkward to zip out of the arena, but then Cribbin, actually a old runner of this game, figured out that using the attack from the axe guy is perfect distance to get out. The easiest way to do that area. There is a one zip for that whole entire elevator room, but it's really dumb, so I do that method. Nice. Actually got that zip in the marathon. I like always fail that zip in marathons.
It only worked because Warrior Within was so horrible to you.
Yeah. So yeah, death abuse to load triggers there. And now we're going to do something very unique. We are actually going to take some strats out of the zipless category and use the menu glitch here. So I'm gonna span the menu to get it to overlay on top of my gameplay eventually. There we go. Then what I can do is do a boosted jump here and then zip out in the middle of the area here, and zipping that animation actually goes down very far. So I kind of lied when I said there isn't any down zip in this game. There is, but you need to use the menu. But it goes very far down, so its only use is here because you need to go insanely far down here. And it just happens to line up perfectly like so. And then we just hit a checkpoint there, and then we can die to fix the load triggers.
I would say that's one of the more creative zips in all the Trilogy runs, because you're using a glitch to set up for a glitch to get you so far into the level.
That's really cool. Really happy when I figured out that strat. It's way better than what we used to do. Used to have to like zip out to the middle of that area and jump up to hit a teleport trigger and then get the game to teleport you down to the well, and then you have to do other zips. You have to zip a slide animation to go down, which was perfectly consistent, but that way is just so much faster and way cooler too. Another zip here that I usually use hyperblocks because it's just one. Cutscene here that I don't want to watch, so we just roll right past it. And you can see a second fountain off in the distance there. That's where I'm zipping to.
And also, watching that cutscene will give us the dad sword, correct? So you would actually lose Red Guard.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah, because we've had this same Red Guard sword since the start of the game, basically, just giving us sand back consistently, which is why
Yeah.
we've never had any problem with gaining sands back, and so we can zip all the way at the end with this weapon.
So yeah, and because we don't have the dad sword, this area is completely black. But as long as I don't get lost, it's no big deal.
Welcome to Dark Souls 2. Did you forget your torch?
That zip is routed so that I can just like basically completely rewind the timer, and it'll work. And then we can zip out of the darkness here. Perfect. There's another checkpoint here that I'll die. What? Excuse me, game? It didn't give me the checkpoint.
What?
I don't know why. That's very strange. I swear there's a checkpoint there. That's so weird. I've never had that happen. That's very weird. And now I don't know if I should try the checkpoint again or if I should just continue normally.
I think you should try the checkpoint again,
Yeah,
just
I
for the
kind of
meme.
wanna. I swear there's a checkpoint there.
I've
Like,
heard all this
look at
before.
this. Luckily that fountain doesn't give you the dad sword. There we go, okay. At least we only had one super strange thing happen in this game. We had like 3 in Warrior Within.
At least this one hasn't crashed yet. Touch wood, it doesn't.
It's a very precise zip here that I usually don't get. Alright, hit the load. Oh, it almost worked. It's supposed to land like in that pillar. Ah, no. I tried to fix it. Alright, but I can just rewind back now. And then since the kitchen is loaded now, I can just zip straight up to the kitchen. Now there's some other input I'm supposed to do there to actually get up here because there's a load trigger right there. But that works too. Some of these zips at the end of the game are very small time savers. Like that saves like 1.5 seconds or something. I always choke this zip in marathons, so I get a first try. I got a first try. Let's go.
World record incoming.
See, these towers are very tall, so I usually need 2 jumps to clear them.
But unfortunately, it's not like we can just zip straight up to the top, as there's a lot of triggers that we have to hit along the way as well. Otherwise, we'd be straight up at the top.
Yeah. Okay, I actually hit the load there. But having issues with that zip where I just don't hit the load, but I did that time. this zip is scary too because there's, if you zip like past the wall, past like those 3 vases there, the game will crash, like a guaranteed crash, basically. So I'd be very careful with my positioning so that I don't go too far. Using the jump attack again to get up to a certain height. That zip can be done with a roll, and it is like a bit faster, but it's kind of precise. Oops, wait, I messed that up. Ideally with this zip, I'll hit the load and then land up top. Nice, that actually worked. Oftentimes you don't land up here and you have to use a little no major glitches trick to get up. Right, and 2 more zips. Throw a weapon just for the distance. To land in this hallway. And then I'm gonna line up to hopefully jump up to where the final boss is, and then hit the there's a teleport trigger in the air that sends you, or triggers the mental rim to load. And I missed it. Cool. Okay, 3 more zips. I lied. Surprised I missed. I was right on it. There. And I'm gonna do something really weird here. I just block rolled and then picked up the secondary that's in my right hand. And for some reason that allows you to get a 1-hit kill on the Dark Prince there. Normally you have to like hit him like 10 times or something.
And with the vizier gone, I can take your place and rule the kingdom. And there is absolutely nothing you can do.
And because of that, I'm doing these jump kicks on the Dark Prince here too. Because like the weapons are all messed up. I can't just or I could, but it doesn't like work very well. I would need to like use a combo, which I'll do here because of the rotating platform. So see, like the first attack didn't actually hit him. Nice. Really, Prince?
Rip world record.
You could rule the world. You have squandered it, Prince.
Yeah, doing the jump kicks, a consistent way to attack the Dark Prince when you're in this state, which is basically like an invisible dagger.
Do you think you would be here now if not for me? How many times did I save you? How many times did I unblock your path, take down your enemies, remind you of your mission?
It's nice to see all the places where we've been in this long run so far.
Yeah, it's true. Shows
Nice
areas
refresher.
from yeah, from Warrior Within and SOT.
Always been empty. You are just a desperate.
And clearly you know the full story by now.
If I am selfish, Prince, it is because
Yeah, we've seen all the cutscenes, we've seen all the actual dialogue and all the lore behind these games. So,
I was not conjured by some mad vizier. I
hope everyone's been taking notes because there is a test right after this run.
I have seen the error of my ways, and I have atoned for the transgressions of my past. I am no longer that person.
Seasons change, tastes change.
Alright, last skip of the run. See if I can get it.
Will never change.
Take 3 steps
Delude yourself
and jump.
lies. Do not fight
Nice.
me. set down your sword. Embrace me. Do you mean to kill me then? Cut me down like all your other enemies? Swing
Buffered some attacks in there to speed up my movement. Alright, so time is coming up shortly. Once I get to the top of these stairs and the prince stops moving.
Turn away. Wake up. I will need you.
Another little cutscene here that I'll attack into.
Such violence. Your anger serves only to feed me. So I have to ask, have you really changed? After all,
And
I'm still right
time.
here, standing before you.
GG.
What are you doing?
Nice. That was a pretty good run. I can see the time there. That's actually surprising. I thought it was going to be longer than that. But,
Well, I just want to say that my sleep schedule is happy that it wasn't longer.
yeah, did it for you. Yeah, Warrior Within was pretty awful, but Sands of Time and TGT were both solids.
Yeah, clearly. Like for T2T, I mean that was to be expected. Like I mean, it's you and T2T.
I'm not sure what time that is in-game time, but for perspective, the world record real time is 2:02, I think. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. Like that was really fast. Honestly, like even with all the hiccups in Warrior Within, it was still alright. You know, like we got one tornado cycle at Kalina.
Yeah. Surprising that Warrior Within
you
didn't.
crashed multiple times, but it was pretty fast to reload, and you know, like you didn't lose like 4 minutes every time.
Yeah. And I gotta show this off like I usually do for zipping runs.
Yeah, go ahead. Don't do it.
Like we said a lot, zipping can do some strange things, like turn a ladder into an elevator.
Yeah, that one is so funny, honestly.
I love this. I'd be curious to know like the actual code, like what makes it do this, but no idea. All I know is that I'm holding an invisible ladder and it's an elevator.
You gotta love these games for one reason or another.
That's true.
Unfortunately, there's a ceiling here, so it doesn't go up forever. Alright, well, yeah, that's it. That's all that I have. I hope everyone enjoyed the Trilogy run.
Yeah, that was really fun. So thank you, Vin, for this. Thank Grizz for commentating with Vin. That was really cool. Like I was really looking forward to this run, and yeah, I wasn't disappointed. Like, you know, SOT and T2T, that was like pure zip in action, and Warrior Within was just Warrior Within. So
Yeah,
it was
we had some memes and we had some speed. Best of both
Exactly.
worlds.
Yeah, that's like the perfect run for marathon, honestly.
Not Prince of Persia if there's not a meme somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you both of you. We will just go like in a short intermission, and I will just do like a goodbye message before we go to sleep, and yeah, thanks
Cool.